YouTube, and welcome to the Blue Corner and to a card from my Vanguard deck profile. In this video I'll be doing an update to Nightrose post-ban list. So Mick the Ghosty and family is restricted to 1 in here, and it's also running the new cards from Friday's collection. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I was going to wait until we got the big whale before updating this, but I'm only going to change 1 card in this list when we get that guy. So I'll just point out what to cut for it, talk about the whale a little bit, and then just move on from here. So that being said, let's get started. So Forerunner is Grenache, pretty straightforward. I don't see why you'd run anything other than this guy Nightrose at this current time. Just remember, when you're up against Gear Chronicle and Narukami, you keep this guy in the soul, otherwise they will get rid of it. Against everything else though, you can just call it out. Then for the grade 3s, we're running 4 OG Nightrose, as this is your main playmaker. Then for the backups, 1 Nightstorm. He extends combos, he starts combos, he's a hollow unit you can call off the effect of your Negrobone, and flipping stand triggers on him is pretty good. And then for now, 1 Starlight Nightrose, but this will be cut for the Big Whale, who is a 12k base, and I believe his ability is if you have a specific amount of cards in your drop zone or less, he becomes a 9k, but when he attacks, for every X cards in your drop zone, he gets plus 2000 power. And therefore, he gets really big as the game goes on, and he is the perfect thing to call off of Negrosonger, or just buff with Mick the Ghosty and family, and then restand him back up with your stand triggers. The whale's really good, and I'm going to be running him as a one-off, and it'll be over this thing. Although I should note that this card might be useful in the future when Dragonic Vanquisher Sparking comes out, as that deck aggressively binds your drop zone, and Starlight could refill against that, but I've never really actually found myself needing to do it when I was testing this deck against Vanquisher, as I was able to, by the time I started getting my deck rolling, I was able to have more cards on drop zone than they could bind. And for the grade 2s, 4 Negro Lazy, 3 Skeleton Cannoneer, 2 Negro Rook, and 2 King Serpent. So, pretty straightforward lineup. Like, this deck list is pretty streamlined at this point. And then for the grade 1s, 4 Perfect Guards, 4 Stride Fodders, 4 Negro Rook, 1 Fatal Shade, and 1 Veil of Ghosty. If I were to make any adjustments to this part, I might cut a bone for a Ghosty, but I want to actually see my bones, whereas Ghosty I can always just put into the drop zone because I have ways to do that, such as with Chappie the Ghosty. So this is a card from set 2. You guys have heard about this guy by now. So his ability is, when he is placed on guard circle, you can choose any Granblue unit from your deck and put it into the drop zone, and we have quite a few cards that benefit from being called from the drop zone, like Veil the Ghosty, King Serpent, and Skeleton Cannoneer. They all benefit from being thrown in the drop zone. Mick the Ghosty and Brothers too, if you have a Go Watch or a Galleon turn coming up. And then for the triggers, I'm still rocking the same type of triggers, so 8 crits, 4 heals featuring the new card from Friday's collection. So Bernard the Ghosty skill is when he is ditched, in order to call the specific G-Guard, you can discard a grade 1 from your hand, or is it grade 1 or less? Let's see. Discard a grade 1 or less from your hand and then draw a card. But you wouldn't want to discard a trigger, you'll just discard things like Veil the Ghosty or Negabone and then get a draw. And then after that, we're running 4 stands featuring the now limited Mick the Ghosty and Brothers and family, and 3 Screaming Banshee. So Banshee is a unit with a hollow ability, so she has benefits off of Dragon, i.e. you kill things, and her effect is when she is placed on rear, you can choose one of your units with a hollow ability and make it become hollowed on a turn, i.e. a Grenache that hasn't been hollowed yet. And then when she is retired due to the effect of the hollow ability, you can bind her, and if you do, you draw a card. So she pseudo floats, but I don't think you'll be using that ability a whole lot, at least against the Narukami matchup. In case you never will. But the reason why I'm still running 4 stands is that this deck is able to put out units of considerable power. Negro Rook, for instance, and the upcoming Zombie Whale also benefit from being flipped up with stand triggers. So we have that, but not only that, but many of your combo pieces work during attacks or after attacks, such as Negrobone and Nightstorm. So standing these back up with a stand trigger is really, really powerful. And even though I'm only running the 4 stands, it's because the other triggers are so good that I'm only running the 4. But you know what? Sometimes 4 stands will get you there. In addition to that, our Generation Break 8 brings things out with massive power, so just flipping a late game stand trigger on that is pretty strong. Not to mention, Go Watch also gives out power buffs. I highly recommend that you continue to run the 4 stands, and these particular 4 stands. Now, Performing Zombie, you can make an argument for too because he filters through your deck, but after that he just kind of sits there. I just like this thing being hollow so that I can bring it out with the ability with Drag It and reap the benefits from it. Then for the strides, we're running 4 Go Watch, 2 Drag It, 2 Negrosonger, 1 of the Generation Break 8, so this is Immortal Ship, no, Undying Ship, Immortal Galleon. So, or is it? No, what is it? Unfading Ship. I keep getting his name wrong. Anyway, this is Immortal Galleon. He's a Generation Break 8, and he's pretty simple. When you place this thing on Vanguard, you can choose up to 5 units from your drop zone, call them, they each get 10,000 power, and then at the turn they die. I can't really say much more than what I just said there. Like, it is a Go Watch for free that makes your things really big. What you could do with Galleon is pretty much everything you can do with a Go Watch turn, other than the fact that everything you call will die, as opposed to Go Watch leaving things that don't have hollow on the board, like Negro Bone. But whatever, when you go for this guy, you're going to kill your opponent, or that's basically the game plan. So yeah, keep that in mind. Like, whenever you go into this guy, just try and come up with a good board to work with. Like, you can also do things like you can call this guy out with Galleon, use this guy to buff a Nightstorm by an additional 10 power, so the Nightstorm is 31. Then you use Nightrose's skill to call something on top of this guy that he gets shuffled into the deck, and now you have a chance of checking him during your turn, and Nightstorm might be able to get 2 calls off. Then 1 Big Boo, 1 Sabreeze, and that's it for the strides. G-Guardians, we're running 2 Negonrola. So this card is the Fighter's Collection G-Guard, and her skill is Soul Blast 1, choose any G-Guardian from your G-Zone and flip it face up. When it's placed on guard circle, you can pay the cost. If you do, you can choose 2 cards from your drop zone with different grades, or is it up to 2? I believe it's... oh no, it's 2 cards, specifically 2 cards, so you gotta call 2. So you choose 2 cards from your drop zone with different grades and call them a guard circle. So what you can do is you can call a grade 0, and grade 1, and she's basically a 15k shield, so she is a less picky Negro mode, but because she calls them from drops on the guard circle, you can do some neat things. So, Chappy Ghosty, you call this guy out from the drop zone, you get to ditch a card from your deck to graveyard, so now you've managed to guard for 15k, and you managed to set your drop zone up for the next turn. If you're running an original Perfect Guard, so Gust Jin or the Trial Deck Perfect Guard, then yes, that will trigger because they don't require you to call them from hand to guard circle. They just have to be called to guard circle. So you could run a single copy of an old Perfect Guard in order to proc this guy's skill off. And yeah, that's very much a thing. I've thought about it, and I might try that in the future. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But yeah, that's the new G Guardian, and then we're running 1 Negro Lily, 1 Eclipse Hulk, and 1 Alglean clone. So ditch and draw, and that's it for the deck itself. But like I said before, it's a pretty straightforward generic list. Nothing too overly spicy here. I'm just going with what I know works. Like, I'm pretty comfortable with this deck list. I've been playing some variation of this style of Granblue for how long now? I actually took this thing to a relay fight the other day, and I was also last fighter, so I was able to do some really stupid things, because granted, I was able to Galleon pretty much immediately, but I decided to Go Watch first to set up a little bit, because I had a Luard Heart card, so my Vanguard was Luard, so I used Luard to pull out Banshees from the deck, and then I used Go Watch to fill out the rest of the field, and then I went for a Galleon the next turn, and my opponent was super dead because I called out a Loris plus, the new Loris plus a Harmony 10k booster. Yeah, so the Loris was really big. yeah, that's all I can really say, like, immediately, but yeah, this deck is still very good. It'll probably see a bit of a decrease in play over here because people are afraid of not knowing what could happen with this deck because they don't know how to adjust to the new restricted list, but Nightrose is still very good. Do not underestimate it, otherwise it will get you. It is annoying, though, that, again, Nightrose got the hit on the ban list, but Chronojet didn't, as opposed to what happened in Japan, where Hetero-Hound Dragon got put to 1. I mean, fair is fair, right? But I guess Bushiroad doesn't feel like the TCG really cares about that. We don't need to have nice things. I don't know, like, it's kind of stupid, but whatever. This deck is still a blast to play. Like I said before in the Q&A, this is my favorite deck to play at this time because it's so technical, and you don't really get that kind of thing in Vanguard, at least most of the time. Like, granted, we're starting to see a more increased level of technical play because of the way the format is, and rather the way the game has become, i.e. G-Guardians playing around your opponent, trying to play around you, managing your resources, building your deck for the format. Do you run 10Ks? Do you run 8Ks? Blah, 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 blah. But Nightrose is probably the most Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck in all of Vanguard, and it's a really fun deck to play. So, yep, not much else I can really say about that. Here's hoping that the new Nightrose Stride that they announced as a promo card will be easy to get in some way over here, because if it's a really good card and it's really only available as like this hard to get promo, I'm not really looking forward to that. But that'll be then, and we probably won't have to worry about that until next year. So for now, though, this is pretty much what I'm playing for Granblue. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until the next time, this is BlueStar899 checking out.